FSU falling to Boston College at home in Florida State. 28-13, and FSU just looked absolutely lifeless in this game. It was very sad from the jump. FSU had a 36% chance to make the playoffs entering this season, and after starting 0-2, it is now down to 1%. I believe they fell to somewhere around 16% once they lost to Georgia Tech in week 0 over in Ireland. But I don't know what it was. There was something telling me that there was just a sneaky suspicion that FSU could possibly lose last night. They had the dual threat quarterback in Castellanos, the pressure to win this game at home in what felt like a trap game because it is an ACC matchup. Again, that dual threat quarterback, we saw what Haynes King did last week to Florida State with Georgia Tech. And after about halfway through the fourth quarter, I knew it. I saw the same things from the Georgia Tech game were showing in the FSU game as they hosted Boston College in week 1. You had DJU missing layups. You had a stale offense. They were getting gashed up the middle on the run all night long, and they'd already given up 50 yards rushing halfway through the first quarter. So I knew it was going to be a very long night for Florida State coming out of the gate. And a big question I kept asking myself is, why did Mike Norvell keep having DJU drop back? I understand that Boston College goes up 14-0 and then 21-6. But it was very clear that DJU has struggled this season, even though it's 2 games, and was struggling again in this game. 21 for 42, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. That was absolutely horrible. Bad form. Throwing off of his back foot with the pressure in his face from the blitz, and it was almost returned for a touchdown, which would have made it feel even worse. He was sacked 3 times in this game, and this was just extremely clear in this one as Boston College came with the different pressures, with the pass rush, that DJU could not pick up on a blitz, or really any blitz for that matter. The simple throws he was missing was really sad to see because it was slants, it was out routes, it was drags. You had him overthrowing people wide open in the end zone for touchdowns. And we know the offensive coordinator, Alex Atkins, has been suspended due to some NCAA violations, but they need him back ASAP. They're going to get him back after the Memphis game. And just speaking on DJU for a little bit, his career has been such a journey because he, comes in for Trevor Lawrence when he was hurt that 1 week and plays in prime time and absolutely wows everybody. And then Trevor Lawrence gets drafted, so he's supposed to be the guy. Doesn't really turn out that he is the guy to be that transcendental quarterback at Clemson with Dabo Swinney. You have Cade Klubnik come in and take his job, so he goes to Oregon State. He has Ollie Gordon II behind him. He has a decently solid roster in Oregon State. It doesn't even muster a well enough season there. Now he's 2 games in with Florida State, and he is still showing some of the same mistakes from the Clemson days. So you hate to, have this be such a head scratcher for Florida State early on and actually wonder what's happening with the quarterback position. But you have to ask the question if they got it wrong on the quarterback, because DJU does not look good so far. And I see my boy Alan in the comments. I see you're going to be chiming with me on the Florida State. It's all good, man. Sorry you couldn't be back on tonight. Back to normal next episode. No worries at all. FSU season is toast. No defense, and the offense is in shambles. DJU looks lost. Totally agree with you. All those lost to the draft put a damper on our team, it seems. Not the squad we were hyped up to be. Couldn't agree with you more, dude. Yes, I hope you feel better as well, Alan. Babe, thank you for extending the love, as you always do, supporting in the comments. Appreciate everybody that's reached out and gave Taylor and I love as well as we recently celebrate our new engagement. But it's just bad for DJU. And I keep asking myself, with Mike Norvell calling the plays, why does he still have DJU dropping back? FSU's trenches and their defense are really cooked 2 games into the season. They finally got 2.5 sacks on the defensive side of the ball on Castellanos, but they were absolutely destroyed yet again up the middle. 263 rushing yards. 3 players in this game, 2 running backs and the quarterback, had over 10 carries and over 70 rushing yards. They couldn't stop any type of run, and Boston College knew that immediately. Again, halfway through the first quarter, they knew what they were going to run. They knew last week when Georgia Tech absolutely gashed them with Haynes and Haynes runner at law, what they were going to be doing coming into this game. And they did it. They executed perfectly. They were 9 of 16 on 3rd down, and Boston College just knew what they were going to do to Florida State really within the first few snaps of this game. Florida State, again, awful defense, allowing 9 of 16 to 3rd down. They could not get off of the field on 3rd down. And once you start to look into the offense as well, 3 straight 3-and-outs to start this game. DJU again struggling, missing wide open receivers for touchdowns, simple throws. FSU was 3 for 14 on third down, 7 penalties. They got doubled up in time of possession by Boston College. So at the end of the day, if they can't stop the run and they can't run the ball, they're cooked in the trenches. They're absolutely cooked in the trenches. Boston College's quarterback Castellanos actually overthrew a wide open touchdown and had a potential touchdown dropped on a wheel route on one of Boston College's first drives. So FSU could have easily lost worse than this. That's the sad part about it. We see the CFB top 25 come out today, and FSU is no longer in it. Unfortunately, it's rightfully so. So at this point in the season for FSU, Mike Norvell has to make a decision at quarterback. Let's start there with DJU. He has to be realistic with himself and be ready to make a decision at quarterback because DJU is not it through two games. We're 17% of the way through the season. We only got 10 more games ahead of us, at least Florida State does. A lot of people just coming off of week 1 and playing their first games. But how many more games does DJU get to make these simple mistakes, getting to hinder this team and this offense? Now, I understand Mike Norvell some, blame to place as well. And again, Alex Atkins is missing, so they're going to see him come back into the picture after he serves his suspension. But if I'm Mike Norvell, DJU's got 1 game, maybe 2 more games to show me that he's got the tangibles to play at the high level he needs to play at, or I got to start looking elsewhere on the depth chart. And I'm not trying to be dramatic here, but this is FSU that cried and moaned so much about getting into the playoffs, and they've now lost their last 3 games. If you even want to throw the Georgia game out, that's fine. FSU was double-digit favorites in both games that they've lost, convincingly losing both. Obviously, it was a better showing versus Georgia Tech, but it was pretty bad this week against Boston College. Boosters start calling for their money. Programs start to really get on edge when you're not performing. And Mike Norvell has to be honest with himself about the decision he has to make at quarterback. He also has to look at the defensive coordinator and Adam Fuller as well. His job has to be in question. Florida State cannot stop a nosebleed at this moment. And if they continue to not be able to protect the quarterback, not be able to get after the quarterback, and not be able to stop the run, Florida State's cooked. Their season's done. I think their season's already done, so let's go ahead and get into that. They're 0-2 right now, and the meat of their schedule is not even here. I have them losing to Notre Dame when the time comes. I have them losing to Miami, who looks like the best team in the ACC right now. I know we're only 1 week in, 2 losses in for Florida State, and they might lose to Clemson, but I'll hold off there because they got absolutely shellacked by my Bulldogs over the weekend. At worst, I think Florida State's an 8-4 team, so that means yes. The playoff hopes are done. There might be 1 3-loss team in the CFP, but again, there's 12 to 13 teams this year that I think in college football are actually going to be reputable and just worth watching, and Florida State just dropped out of those 12 to 13 teams to me, as for right now. Now, things could change, but you're talking about a 12-team playoff, and you're already starting 0-2. You've got 1% or less of a chance to make it in. And I feel bad for Mike Norvell because he's a great coach, but he's got an unidentifiable team right now who's cooked on both sides of the football. It's ugly for Florida State. They got a lot of questions, and they need a lot of answers. A lot of answers. Thank you, babe. Your jersey looks even better. I can't wait to have this hanging on the wall so people can see what the back of it says. I hate it for my Noles, but you have to be elite. Thanks for the support. That just sounds like someone mailing it in. But that's okay, bro. I totally understand because that's how it feels.